Right now, I am joined with some of our experts, the pros in the business when it comes to NFL handicapping. And we are talking about, we've got a first look here at the schedule that was just released just moments ago. We are just now looking at this for the first time. I have got with us, we've got Mark Lathrop with us. We've got Peter Loshak, Swingin' Johnson, Dave Golikoff, and Jordan Sharp joining us here. All right, guys, let's kick it off. First of all, let's talk about why, while we're looking at it, I thought it was so interesting. Did you guys know that, the past 30 years before the past 2 seasons, there was one guy who used to organize the entire schedule? Did you guys know that?
No, that's
I didn't learn.
He did it by hand. It was Val Pinchbeck.
It's not that big of a schedule, though. It's only 16 games a year, right, for each team?
Yeah, only 256 games to organize single-handedly.
I could do that. I think I could handle that.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. All right, so what do you guys think then? Now that it's done by technology, it's done by stats, do you think that it's as fair as it used to be? Let's say, the Pats won it all last year. Do you think that they've got an easy schedule coming in this season the way maybe they deserve to have, or do you think it's still going to be pretty tough for them? What do you guys think?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I've been looking at the New England Patriots. We just saw the schedule come out, and I'm looking at their home schedule. I mean, let's face it, the division hasn't been a real challenging for the Patriots over the last, decade, because they do have the Bills, the Jets, and the Dolphins. But then you add into that Jacksonville Jaguars and the Tennessee Titans, two of the very worst teams in the league. You've got the Pittsburgh Steelers, good team. Philadelphia Eagles should be very interesting. And kind of a Washington Redskin team that's kind of So I think that their home schedule is extremely favorable.
Great. Yeah, and it looks like they've got a bye week in week 4. That seems kind of crazy having it so early. Am I right?
Well, yeah, I think that the Patriots, I mean, I think the only good part about that is it usually takes about 4 or 5 weeks for the Patriots to start to jibe. If you recall last year, Megan, they went into Kansas City in week 4 and it got absolutely throttled 41-14. But after that game, they were a whole new team. That offensive line came together. There were calls to bring back Dante Scarnecchia, who had been, basically a special teams and offensive line coach, bring him back. But, boy, they just put that thing together. They gave Brady all the protection he needed, and ultimately they won the Super Bowl. So, actually, in this case, I don't think it's such a bad thing for the Patriots.
All right, so also just first look at this schedule. Let's just talk about what's popping out at you guys. What do you think's going to be exciting for this season? Just first look at the schedule. What's popping out at you?
I think right off the bat, the first matchup that's probably going to be Tampa Bay, Tennessee with the 2 number 1 rookie quarterbacks. I think that'll be interesting. That'll be a big talking point. Tampa Bay likely to take Jameis Winston, and Marcus Mariota probably going to Tennessee at number 2. So they're facing off in week 1 right off the bat. That game has me intrigued, even though it probably won't be on at the sports bar because nobody other than me will care about that game.
Well, you and all the Florida State fans.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, guys. Well, what else do you guys see going on here? We got.
Well, I saw that Seattle had that bye after week 3. And setting up that 13-game stretch after the first 3 games of the season, and it looks like they've dodged that bullet, and they have their bye week 11, which helps for them. And instead, in their place, a Super Bowl favorite Denver has that bye after week 3, and they're kind of a older team. They have some linemen that are a little long in the tooth, so that's going to be tough for Denver.
All right, I like it, yeah. And
I would also throw in that Seattle's schedule right off the bat looks very difficult. It starts at St. Louis, right? And St. Louis is, manageable game for Seattle, but St. Louis supposedly improved. At Green Bay, I mean, it's not crazy to think, Green Bay's going to be a revenge game. Seattle could be 0-2. At home against Chicago and Detroit, probably winnable games, but Detroit was pretty good last year. Chicago's supposedly better. At the Bengals will be tough. Home to Carolina. I know Carolina's kind of weak, but still division winner. Then at San Francisco, at Dallas. That is not a very easy stretch in their first 8 weeks there for the Super Bowl chance.
All right, let's talk about something else too here. I mean, everybody's talking about it, at least anyone who's following the NFL right now, is that Packers-Seattle Seahawks game that's going down in week 2. How early is that? That seems way too early to me. But then again, is that when the Packers might actually want to see the Seahawks early in the season? They might have a better chance of taking the win here early. What do you guys think?
The Packers really have, I think, one of the more,
Well,
early time. Yeah.
Well, there he goes.
Come on, Jordan, spit it out.
You cut out there. Go ahead.
No, I mean, the Packers after that Seahawks game, though, if you look at them, their schedule, they have the Chiefs and 49ers right after that. So the first part of their schedule is a little rough. So yeah, it's a little early bang for the Packers, but looking down later, I think that I think potentially the second half of the schedule could be pretty favorable to the Green Bay Packers. But yeah, looking forward to that Week 2 game. I mean, that's going to be a completely great game. Packers pretty much went into Seattle and almost won that game, obviously, in the playoffs. So I think it'll be a really interesting one to watch to see if Green Bay can kind of come back out this time around, maybe get the win this time.
Yeah, I definitely have Green Bay taking that game as a revenge factor.
All right.
No doubt about it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I could definitely see the same thing. Now, what's interesting about this Green Bay Packers team is last season when they were at home, they were 8-0, but on the road they were 4-4. Do you guys think that that's going to be an issue for them this year?
I think it's the same thing for them every year. It's they're always about a 500, slightly above, slightly below road team, but at home is where they're tough to beat. I actually think that Seattle will be. I think this is an easier game for them going there in week 2 than it would be, say, week 17, week 16. There's no cold. It'll still be relatively warm. I don't think Green Bay is going to have as big of a home field advantage. I agree with you in terms of the revenge factor, but I actually think that's a little bit easier for Seattle to go there in week 2 than it would be later.
All right, guys, then let's go ahead and get more specific here and start talking about divisions, odds, what's going on. What do you guys think as far as divisions go? We can start it off in the NFC. We've got the Seahawks, surprise, surprise, at the top here at 275 odds to win the entire conference. And then we've got, let's start it off at NFC East. Actually, we've got the Cowboys here at the top at 137. Then you got the Philadelphia Eagles 170. That's pretty close behind in the odds to take the NFC East. What do you guys think about this division?
The NFC East, I think, is still the Cowboys' division to lose. I don't think the Eagles have done enough this offseason to warrant me, I think, or anybody else picking them over the Cowboys. Yeah, they lost to Marco Murray. That's going to hurt. If they can get a running back to establish and help Tony Romo out, I think that this team is still the best team in this division. They still have a season win total of 9.5. We'll get to that in a little bit. But, I'm not crown the Eagles as division winners here, and obviously I don't think the Giants and Redskins are on the level of those two teams yet. The Eagles will give Cowboys some trouble. I just really see if that defense can step up like they did this past year. I don't think anybody's going to topple them, despite the fact that their schedule does look a little bit rough to start off with. I think the Cowboys do have some nice favorable matchups there at the beginning of that schedule, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and the Eagles have got big dog Tim Tebow coming into action here this season. What do you guys think about that? Do you think it's going to be a big benefactor here?
No.
The Eagles they're going to be one of my favorite things to watch. I hope they fail miserably. This team is the biggest shit mix of who knows. Chip Kelly's essentially playing Madden football here with all these weird trades and pickups. This guy's a complete mess. I'm telling you, Chip Kelly is never going to win anything in the NFL, and it's going to start this year. I mean, Sam Bradford is your starting quarterback. You trade away LaShawn McCoy because you don't want to pay a running back a lot. Then not only do you sign DeMarco Murray, but get Ryan Matthews too. I don't think Chip Kelly even knows what Chip Kelly's doing. Everyone else is trying to figure out what he's doing. I think this guy's flying by the seam of his pants. Eagles, to me, are the third best team in this division. I think if you're looking for some value, I think the Giants could be a team on the rise. I like the fact that they have Odell Beckham Jr., who's indefensible, and Victor Cruz. I believe it's Eli Manning going into a contract year. You always got to be wary of that. This is a team that seems to bounce back. Has a bad year, good year, bad year, good year. I'm not sold on the Cowboys. So if you're looking for value, at least in my opinion, I like the Giants in this division.
All right, what about you guys? Who do you think is going to come out on top in the NFC East?
I definitely love the Giants at the value of the over/under of 8. I mean, that just seems like a very low bar, especially if Philly, crashing and burning comes to fruition. It's going to come at the expense of somebody else. So I love that pick. I'm totally backing that.
All right, so it sounds like we're all kind of agreeing here that maybe we could have a surprise here, see the Giants come out on top. All right, let's move on. Let's do NFC North now. Let's talk about the Green Bay Packers. They're up on top here at -200 odds to win the division. We got the Detroit Lions at 400. Then we've got the Chicago Bears following at 900, also tied with the Minnesota Vikings at 900. What do you guys think about this division?
It's still the Packers to lose. They I think are going to. I don't think they're going to get below 11 or 12 wins this season. I really can't see the Packers not getting double-digit. They've won Division 4 straight years. This will be the 5th if they win it this year. I mean, the Bears, I think, have gotten worse. The Lions are still going to be good, but let's be honest, do any of you trust the Lions? I think the answer we probably already know is no. And the Vikings are still on the rise. They could potentially trade Adrian Peterson within the next couple of weeks. I mean, the Packers, they did lose. I think they lost Tremont Williams, and they lost one of the other corners. I can't think of his name right now. So that's going to hurt a little bit, but it's just going to mean that Aaron Rodgers is just going to have to throw another 40 times a game and then try to drop 40 points, which this offense is absolutely capable of doing. They brought back Brian Bulaga. They brought back Randall Cobb. This offense is still one of the tops in the NFL. I can't see any team in the NFC North challenging.
All right, yeah, I like that you actually brought up wins totals here, Jordan, because they were 12-4 last season, and the wins total opened up at 9.5. Does that seem kind of low to you guys?
Yes.
Could that be a first look that we should be taking? We should be telling our viewers to take.
Yeah, absolutely. Start mortgaging your properties. I think the Packers double digits is a pretty good bet in my opinion. I don't see who really stops them. I mean, not to echo everything that Jordan said, but this might sound crazy, but I think Minnesota might actually end up being the second best team in that division. I know it's a stretch, but I think Minnesota's a team on the rise. I think Detroit's a team that's plateaued, and I think Chicago's a team that's rebuilding. So if the Vikings keep Adrian Peterson, if Teddy Ballgame takes the next step, I think this team could be on the rise.
All right, then let's also talk about the NFC South here for a little bit. I know it's everyone's favorite topic, am I right? I mean, it's the best teams in the league. No, they're absolutely horrible. But let's talk about who we think will come out on top here. We've got New Orleans Saints, Atlanta Falcons. They're coming up. New Orleans Saints are 170, Atlanta Falcons 240. Carolina Panthers are also at 240 there, so they're tied with the Falcons. And then we've got the Tampa Bay Bucks at 1,000. Now, I have a feeling that these numbers are going to change after the draft, but right now let's talk about it. Who do you guys see coming out on top here?
I like the Atlanta Falcons in this division. I think you get a little bit of value here. I look at the trajectory of the 4 teams. I don't think Carolina's any better. Tampa Bay is still rebuilding. They're probably going to be starting a rookie quarterback this year. And you've got, who's the other team that I missed? The Saints. The Saints are a team that's, traded Jimmy Graham. They basically put their entire roster in the paper shredder. And then you've got the Atlanta Falcons, so I think they come in with some optimism. You got a new head coach in Dan Quinn, right? He's a defensive mind. And what's the issue with that team? The defense. So while Kyle Shanahan, who's a pretty good hire for this team, manages the offense, they got rid of what's his name, Steven Jackson, the guy who runs like a piano, and they're going to put some good running backs in there, some support for Matt Ryan. I think this team is on the rise, and as I mentioned, I think their defense will get better. So to me, the Falcons are the best team in that division.
Ooh, I like hearing that, Dave. Being from Atlanta, I'm really hoping the Falcons to start rising up like we talk about doing. So I'm excited about that for their season. All right, now let's talk about the NFC West here. We've got the Seattle Seahawks at -150 at the top. We got Arizona Cardinals 500, St. Louis Rams 600, and the San Francisco 49ers at the bottom at 750. What do you guys think about this team? Who's coming out on top?
Well, I think it's similar to the NFC East that it's Seattle's division to lose. Going through the schedule, I could see maybe Seattle losing one game at home, I'm looking at the Detroit game, Pittsburgh game. Detroit game's a Monday night game, which actually makes me want to flip that pick that, because Monday night in Seattle, they own it. So I see Seattle maybe 12-4 again, 11-5. I have them with a tough road schedule, maybe going 4-4. I see them losing to Green Bay on the road. They've got to go to Dallas. They can lose that game and be fine. Baltimore, lose that game and be fine. But they have a pretty good schedule at home from what I see. Of course, San Francisco's kind of in the gutter right now. I didn't really agree with them getting rid of their coach, and I see a drop off there. If anything, the value in that division is under 7.5 games with San Francisco.
Yeah, that's interesting that you say that about them being on the road, because 3 of their 4 losses last season was on the road, and their win total for this season's at 11. That's pretty high. They only won 12 last season. So what do you guys think, over or under in that number?
I think that's a total pass. I agree with you. I'm thinking 7-1 home record last year, 5-3 away record, and the way it sets up, it looks to be about the same. I do have St. Louis snagging a game from them, possibly in St. Louis. So if anything, that's a team to watch. They really have some deficits on their offensive line. So if you have the wherewithal to wait on your futures pick, you're going to want to look at St. Louis, and if they pick up some offensive linemen that can make a difference right off the bat, help Nick Foles out, that's going to be a pick that has some legs to it.
Let me ask you, sorry to jump in.
Go ahead, Dave.
I think there's some good value here with the Arizona Cardinals. I just want to ask your guys' opinion, what you guys think of the Cardinals. I see their total, is their win total at 8 points? Or sorry, 8 wins? I think somebody might be on drugs setting that line that low, but look at this. So Arizona starts at home against New Orleans. Just tell me, is that a win or a loss?
I think it's a win.
That's a win. At Chicago, probably.
That's a win.
That's an absolute win.
Home to San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
That's a probably win. Home to St. Louis, dicey, but they're at home for that one. Arizona's actually really good at home. The Cardinals could start out 4-0. Then they're at Detroit, at Pittsburgh. Those are a couple tough games. Home to Baltimore, at Cleveland. I mean, 8 wins is pretty low for this team. How many wins did they get last year with all sorts of cripples playing quarterback? This team could definitely push Seattle for the division, if anything, if Seattle stumbles at all. But at 8 wins, I think over's a good bet here.
Dave is stealing.
Dave's always stealing thunder.
But no,
I know that's where Jordan was going with that.
Right. Because the Seahawks, I mean, if the Cardinals can win above 8 games, we are assuming the Rams are going to be over 7.5. I think, how are the Seahawks going to win 11? There's not that many wins to go around unless the 49ers only win 4 games. So I think, even though a lot of chalk on the under for the Seahawks at 11 wins, but still, I mean, I think it's probably a pretty good value considering that I think all agree that the Cardinals and the Rams are pretty good bets for the over here. I mean, like I said, there's not that many wins to go around here when you got to play each other twice a year.
Yeah, and actually that's a really good point, because everybody's been talking a bunch of shit about the 49ers, but do we really think that they're going to be that bad this season?
Yes.
Yes. Awful.
I hope they go -1 in 17. I hope this team fails. They are so stupid for letting Jim Harbaugh go, and they're going to pay for this for many, many years. People forget all the crappy coaches that they went through before him. Dennis Erickson, Mike Nolan, Mike Singletary, those embarrassing press conferences. Harbaugh takes them to the Super Bowl, to the NFC Championship game. They have half a bad year, and all of a sudden he's gone.
All right, guys.
I think with San Francisco, I mean, they let Frank Gore go, and they replaced him with Reggie Bush. That's like the antithesis of hard-mouth football. So they don't have anybody to fill that gap.
All right, so now that we're talking about totals a little bit before we switch over into the AFC, I want to talk about, Pete, get your opinion on this. When is the best time to bet totals? Should you start betting here at the beginning of the season, or do you think you should wait till the middle? When do you think the best time is to grab up those totals, Pete?
Well, there are definitely some sharps who pounce on opening futures as soon as they come out, and there's definitely lines are known to be soft. The sports books don't expect them to be particularly tight. They're happy and fine with taking losses on opening futures. So if you are following these things carefully, you can definitely get great value betting on futures and win totals. At the beginning of the year. The only problem with that, of course, is that you tie your money up for the whole year. And most of the sharp guys who bet futures and win totals bet it on credit, so they're not actually using any of their bankroll up when they do that. But there's definitely soft lines, in the beginning, and then as news comes in and the lines move, the value, if you if you get your opinions straight before everyone else catches on and you're right, you can absolutely find good value. Again, it's just not something that the recreational bettor usually does, because unless you're betting on credit, you're tying up your money for the entire season, which is can be a little bit boring.
Right. Absolutely. All right. So then. Go ahead, guys.
Oh, and I would also say one other thing, which is that another thing about paying attention to win totals and futures is not necessarily because you might want to bet them specifically, but because they can definitely imply likely value in the opening weeks of the season. And so if you can identify, a futures or a win total that's a little bit off, you can probably take advantage of that by betting the early weeks of the season. And even if you just follow the way the sharp action goes on some of those futures and win totals. And when I used to do a call with a guy from DSI every year, like he would always tell me who the sharps bet on the futures odds. Like college football, one year they bet TCU big, and TCU wound up covering, like their first 11 spreads in a row or something in that year. So not only is it good to handicap for line value, but if you just follow what the sharp action is doing, you can extrapolate game value in the opening weeks, which is a very good thing to keep in mind.
All right, very good point, Pete. I like that point a lot. And also, guys, I forgot to mention at the beginning of this video, but if you have any questions about betting or any of these teams, any divisions, anything at all, shoot it at us at #SBRTalksNFL. We are picking up questions throughout the segment, and I've seen already a couple of comments coming through here. Actually, the same kind of point that, Dave, I think it was that you had the point in the beginning of the schedule with Winston and Mariota facing off maybe in week 1. That's going to be a really exciting game. A lot of people are seeming to pick up on that. But, yeah, guys, hit us up on SBR Talks NFL. Shoot us your questions. And all right, so let's move on to the AFC here. Talk about AFC East. We'll talk Pats, Bills, Dolphins, and Jets. Of course, the Pats are at the top of the list here to win the East at 250. Then you've got the Buffalo Bills coming in at 600, tied with the Miami Dolphins. I'm getting really excited about this Dolphins team, by the way. And the New York Jets at the bottom at 1,200. What do you guys think? Who's going to take the top? You guys think the Pats got it this year again?
This is my wheelhouse, Megan, and if you're excited, I'm excited, baby. I got to tell you what, I love the AFC East, and I love the New England Patriots. But I got to tell you, all right, so Patriots prohibitive favorites minus 250 to win the East again. 350 plus 350 to win the AFC, 7-1 to repeat as Super Bowl champions. The total wins on this team is 10.5 over minus 45, which I really believe is a super sharp number, because I think you're going to see a lot of people, a lot of squares are going to be laying it in on the over, because the Patriots just win 11 games in their sleep, and they usually win 12 or 13. But you know what? A couple of different things are going on here this year. Because, of course, they lost the greatest cornerback in the history of the game in Darrelle Revis. And obviously, they also lost Brandon Browner at the other corner, an immensely physical cornerback. Also, Vince Wilfork, who's been a mainstay in the middle for New England for so many years. Those three guys opted for free agency instead of settling for the hometown discount. And on the flip side of that coin, you've got a couple of defections with Shane Vereen, who was a multi-dimensional back. Stephen Ridley is gone. He's now a Jet. And you know what? On top of that, I think certainly Buffalo and Miami have improved. I'm not so sure about the Jets. But I don't think this is a cakewalk that everyone thinks the Patriots are going to have, because, in the past, you could look at, okay, they've got 6 divisional games. They're going to win, 4 all day long. They're probably going to win 5, and they could even sweep it. This year might be a bit different because, you've got a team like Buffalo. I mean, and by the way, I've got to tell you, I might be the only guy in Boston that absolutely loves Rex Ryan. I love this guy. And, he left New York. He signed with Buffalo to stay in the AFC East to try to conquer the great white whale that is Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots. I mean, it's kind of like a Moby Dick thing. I'm telling you, it's great. And, they may have mortgaged their future a bit now, but they've got Shane McCoy in the backfield. They've got Richie, the bully incognito, on the offensive line to nasty it up. And, obviously they've got a problem with the quarterback situation because E.J. Manuel, okay, he's still projected to be the starter. They brought in Matt Castle to push him. But you know what? They've got Sammy Watkins. He's going to be even better than he was last year, in my opinion. They've got tight end H-back Charles Clay. And, Rex Ryan always puts together a solid defense, and he's got Jerry Hughes to lead the way. So I really believe the Bills are a major threat. I don't think they're going to dethrone the Patriots, but I would look carefully at that 10.5 total. I think it's a pass for me. Also, just going down to the Miami Dolphins, a lot of the pundits really like what new GM Richie Tannenbaum has done with this Dolphins team. I mean, he's cleared a ton of cap room. He's got receiver Kenny Stills in the fold. I think they're going to be a competitive group. Also, they've got, Sue added to the defense. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And unfortunately, I think the Jets are still the Jets. Okay, I mean, they got Darrelle Revis back in uniform, but that kind of like putting like a chandelier in a double wide. I mean, come on, really. You've got Darrelle Revis, great, but what else do you have? Not a whole lot. Geno Smith, and Woody, the owner. I mean, Woody Johnson. He's just a meddler, but he's not going to have Rex Ryan to kick around anymore. And you know what? They're not going to be that good again this year. So I like the Patriots to win it, but watch out for those Buffalo Bills, baby.
Well, I got to ask you right off the bat, the Buffalo Bills, look at the schedule that it starts with. At home against Indy, at home against New England, at Miami, versus New York. I mean, I know they have the king of the castle and E.J. Manuel who'll be throwing ground balls to Sammy Watkins, but this team could be realistically 0-4. Then they have a stretch in November with 5 road games in 6 weeks. That's horrendous. I think this Bills team is completely overrated. I would vehemently disagree with you. They're not going to be pushing the Patriots for anything. Maybe for the division lead before week one has even started. But other than that, I think this Bills team is overrated.
How dare you?
Dave Golikoff strikes again. What is it with you, Dave? All right, I like it. Okay, so we're thinking that the Pats are going to stay at the top here at the AFC East. Let's move on to the North Division. We've got the Baltimore Ravens at 160 leading the pack here. We got the Pittsburgh Steelers at 180, Cincinnati Bengals at 235, and then the Cleveland Browns at 1,700 at the bottom. Who do you guys think is going to end up taking the lead here?
Well, I've got the North here, and I think the Steelers. I think this AFC North is going to look this year just like it did last year. I mean, you have the Steelers. In my estimation, they're going to be on top. You have Baltimore and Cincinnati battling out, probably getting the 2 wild card spots, and Cleveland is going to, be holding up the rear end as they always do. But I'll tell you what a great game to kick off the season with the Steelers visiting New England. I'll tell you what, man, that is just going to be something to watch. I am so excited to see that. As you know, Troy Polamalu, he's in retirement now, no longer with the Steelers. Not a lot really happened to the Steelers group. I think that, they got D'Angelo Williams in the backfield to spell Bell. But I like them plus 180 to win the North here, and I think over 8.5 is a solid bet as well.
All right, and what do you guys think about the Browns here? Do you guys think that they're going to be able to take more than 6 wins? That's where they're totaled at right now.
I'd like to see some Johnny Manziel back in rehab props if that's possible. What are the lines going to be at there, Pete? Minus 250, Manziel ends up in rehab. Minus 300, he's photographed in a Vegas pool with some babes. Get some lines here.
I like it. Yeah, I'd definitely go minus 300 with the Vegas pool. Absolutely.
Cleveland was a good bet against the spread though last year though. So a lot of times when they have those that kind of turmoil, the market does tend to overreact. So if that stuff happens and they do kind of go down the drain, that might not be a bad thing from a betting perspective in terms of looking for the market to overreact. So I like things like that, and like Philadelphia as well. You might see Philadelphia actually being a good bet against the spread. Those kinds of teams can happen to that.
That is true.
Go ahead, David.
No, I was just saying that is true.
Yeah.
I was just going to say the Browns, it's tough to bet against them, and it's tough to bet on them. They're just one of those teams. But I was going to mention, go back to the Steelers. They have one of the toughest strengths of schedules of any team coming up this year. At 8.5 wins, I mean, I really want to pick them to win this division. But looking at their schedule, it's just absolutely brutal. Obviously, we just mentioned they opened the season against the Patriots. They have a game against the 49ers at home, which should be a win. Then they go at the Rams, at home against the Ravens, at San Diego, at home against the Cardinals, at Kansas City, and then at home against the Bengals. I mean, that is a tough beginning of the schedule for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, I really want to pick them to win this division because I think they have that kind of talent and ability. It's a very tough division, but I mean that's going to be tough to get above 8.5 wins and to win this division with that kind of beginning of the schedule if they don't come out hot.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Do you guys think that this could possibly be the toughest schedule that we've seen so far? What do you guys think?
I would agree. I would just finish up on what Jordan was saying. Look at how they end the season. At Seattle, home to Indy, and then 3 of the last 4 games in the division on the road, and the 4th game is versus Denver. I think this is the toughest division to handicap, in my opinion. I think that the Steelers, their defense still sucks. Their offense is still good, but this schedule, oh my God. You got the Ravens. I liked the Ravens last year when they had Gary Kubiak, but they lose Torrey Smith. Their offense probably takes a hit. I'm not so sure about the Ravens. And then you got the head case Andy Dalton leading the Cincinnati Bengals. I think this division is up for grabs for anybody, and I have really no prediction on who's going to win here.
Do you think 8 or 9 wins could win this division?
Let's take a look at Cincinnati's schedule here. I think Cincinnati might be the most sound bet. At Oakland versus San Diego, at Baltimore, home to Kansas City. That sounds like 2-2. Versus Seattle, at Buffalo, sounds like 3-3. At Pittsburgh, home to Cleveland. Should I just keep doing this? That's about 4-4. If you look at the end of Cincinnati's schedule, I don't know. I think Cincinnati's probably the best bet here, as much as I despise Andy Dalton. I mean, there's still a good defense, still a good running game. They're the youngest team, has done like the least amount of retooling. The Ravens retooling their defense a lot. I think I'd probably lean with the Bengals, like you said, maybe 8-9 wins.
All right, then let's go ahead and move on. We'll talk a little bit more about it here in a little while, but let's talk about the AFC South here really quick. We got the Indianapolis Colts at the top at -333. Then we got the Houston Texans following at +333. Then the Jacksonville Jags at 2,000. Tennessee Titans at 2,500. All right, now again, these numbers may change drastically here after the draft, but what do you guys think?
Yeah, I think I had to adjust my lenses to see the Indianapolis Colts at 10 wins here, as the Colts, to me, are pretty much one of the best bets on the board, as long as you don't mind drinking a glass of juice, to win this division. Pretty much going to get 6 wins in the division, maybe 5 if somebody upsets them. I don't know who that's going to be, but 6 wins probably for sure. I know they're going to play a first place schedule otherwise, but still, they get Tampa Bay. They've played the NFC South, so they get New Orleans at home, Tampa Bay at home. We're already at 8 wins, and I think Indy really is the cakewalk here for the division. Other than that, Jacksonville's kind of my sleeper. I think Houston is a team that's somewhat plateaued. I don't think they're that good, and Tennessee's still the worst of the worst here.
All right, yeah, and I completely agree with you. The Colts may have it pretty easy considering their schedule here. It's already been posted that they have the easiest schedule, or the second easiest in the NFL. What do you guys think? Let's take a look here. All right.
I think the Texans have the easiest schedule, don't they? If my
Okay. What we got there, Swinging?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, Dave, I just want to say your place looks far too clean. I mean, are you kidding me? Seriously, look at the piano. I mean, do you play that thing, or is that just for looks?
I do play the piano.
Oh, Enchanté.
Want me to whip out the keys right now? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, baby. Take a little time.
Guys, a little Frank Sinatra.
I love it.
Schedule here, and then.
Oh my God! I could just tell Zach in the background. He's getting all nervous because we're going off track. We're talking about piano. Okay, I'm sorry, Zach. Let's get back on.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, boss.
All right, we're talking schedule here. We'll talk about Dave's Place some other time maybe.
Colts schedule.
All right, yeah, let's talk Colts or maybe the Houston Texans. You said swinging might be the easiest. What do you think? Swinging Johnson.
Oh yes,
calling you out now that you called us out.
That's right. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the Houston Texans. I mean, they look like they're going to be a lot of fun this year, don't they? I mean, if Clowney stays healthy and they've got Will Fork and they've got J.J. Watt. I mean, what a defense that is. You know, I mean, at home they've got the Raiders. They've got the Panthers, the Jaguars. I mean, all easily winnable games. They've got the Dolphins here. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the goddamn Titans. Wait a minute.
All right, so let's talk about the Colts here. Their schedule does look pretty easy, actually. They're at the Bills to start off their season, and then they've got the Jets at home, Titans after that. Then they got the Jaguars, then the Texans. Okay, then they hit the Patriots here in the middle of October. They don't even see a hard team until, the 6th game of the year? What do you guys think about this? This looks pretty easy. Then it's the Saints after the Patriots. Then the Panthers.
I like it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The Colts, I mean, and not only that, look at their schedule after the bye. I mean, at Atlanta, at home against Tampa, at the Steelers will be a tough game, but then at Jacksonville, at home Titans. I mean, they could legitimately run the table after their bye week. I mean, I don't think that's far-fetched at all.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. I think this could potentially be the easiest schedule that we've seen so far.
Yeah, I'm just curious to know what you guys think on the Houston Texans. This is a team that's like, people have such varying opinions of them. Are they still a team on the rise? I mean, they've got nobody at quarterback. They lose Andre Johnson. The defense looks a little bit better, but this team just seems, I don't know. I think they're one of the weaker ones in the NFL. Some people think they're a borderline playoffs. I'm just curious to get your opinion.
Yeah, and their total here is actually at 8.5. Could that be a potential bet for us? I mean, they came out last season with just 9 wins, 9-7. What do you guys think? Do we have an over and under here?
Come on.
Somebody. I'm going to say under. Just because.
You go on.
I'm going to say under, too.
Yes. Thanks, Pete. All right, let's go on.
No, Houston looks pretty bad, right? And also the line has moved down a bit, right? They're down to the line appears to be heading down. It's under. It's already juiced though, right? It's what is it, minus 140? That might actually close at 8. You know, if you see, that's a perfect example of what I was talking about before. If you see a big move on that total that's not related to personnel loss or something that goes down, then that would be an indication to me that that Houston might be a good bet against, at least in the first couple weeks of the season, maybe further than that as well.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's move on and finish off the AFC here, talking about the West. We've got the Broncos at the top here at minus 200, and then everybody else kind of files under with the San Diego Chargers at 300, Kansas City Chiefs at 650, and the Oakland Raiders at 5,000. All right, what do you guys think about this? The Raiders look like they have one of the lowest totals here at 4.5. Do you think they'll get 5 wins this season?
No, they're a total charity case. I'm looking at their schedule, and they have I don't know how they got such a hard home schedule, but, I mean, they have Baltimore, Cincy, Green Bay, well, of course, San Diego, Kansas City, Denver. I mean, they're going to be 10-digit underdogs in all those games. So under 4.5 would be my pick there. I was just pulling up Denver's schedule. I noticed that their bye week's actually in week 7, but I don't think it's going to help them. I think this is the year to finally fade Peyton Manning. I think he could start 0-3 this year. He's got a away game at Indy that's very losable, away at Kansas City that's losable. I think any team that has a decent pass rush is going to give Denver problems, even though they have a good receiving core. So that leaves one of Kansas City and San Diego to pick up the slack in that division. And I think it's Kansas City, the way that their schedule breaks down. They have, of course, that game against Denver is after a bye in Week 10, and after Denver gets done playing Indy on the road, which could be, easily be a loss there. So, yeah, I like Kansas City. I can't really pick against them at home. They were 6-2 last year at home, and that was kind of a flawed team. And that's where my thoughts are with the AFC West. I just think that's a great value. I'm seeing 13-2 for division odds. It sounds like a good bet to me.
Why do you like Kansas City more than San Diego? Because I view those teams about equal, but I think San Diego's the better team there.
Well, I think the Rivers is going to have a good statistical year. They're having some problems with his contract. He's probably going to play out of his mind. They do have some undersized running backs, so look for the draft for them to pick up a running back with some size to help in blocking schemes. But any game that against a high-powered offense, they have games on the road against Green Bay, Denver, Baltimore. I guess they're high-powered. They can put up some points. San Diego doesn't have the defense to hang with them. So on the road with those hard teams, I'm counting those as a loss. And I see San Diego about 9-7, and that's where I think Denver's going to sit too. And I think that's pretty much the top upside with them in that division.
Okay.
All right, so we'll keep our eyes on it. Now, guys, I'm going to throw this at you before we move on. I want to talk about the must-watch games of the season. But before we move on to that, we've got odds out for the Super Bowl, too, right now. And the Seattle Seahawks are sitting right at the top at 500, and then the Pats are underneath at 700. Green Bay Packers take third at 800. Then we've got the Colts at 1,200, Denver Broncos at 1,200. We got the Dallas Cowboys in the race here at 2,000. Baltimore Ravens fall underneath that at 2,500. Philadelphia Eagles, 2,800. Pittsburgh Steelers, 2,800. Arizona Cardinals, 3,300. Who do you guys think is going to take it this year?
Wow, that's a tough question.
That's a big call right now, huh?
Good question there.
I know who to fade.
April.
Who are we fading? We can start with that.
Well, just like I said, I'd fade Denver there. I don't, they're going to run into somebody with a defensive line that's going to give Peyton issues, and he's going to throw ducks.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my thoughts.
I mean, all day long, do you guys really think that, did you see Peyton Manning down the stretch? Talk about a guy that has just gone from a cannon to like a 38 special, man. It's just, to me, he's just not the guy. He's not even close to the guy that he was. I think that Denver is a fade all day long, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And what about, you guys don't seem to think Gary Kubiak can help him in any way? We've seen this Kubiak from that Mike Shanahan type scheme. They run the ball well. They protect quarterbacks. You don't think that helps him in any way? I guess not.
You've got a lot more confidence in Gary Kubiak than the rest of us do. I think Peyton is, is past his prime, and I think that Denver, mini dynasty is starting to crumble. I am definitely fading them, and it'll be interesting to see what happens after Manning, drives off into the sunset.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. The way I handicap this, okay, this is how I rank the teams in the AFC right now. Colts. Beyond that, I think probably Patriots, and then I think it's pretty much wide open. I don't know. Maybe you guys disagree, but Ravens, Bengals, Steelers, Broncos, maybe. I don't know who else is in that mix there, but those are my tiers. In the NFC, you got Seattle. I think Arizona, and Arizona is just sort of my pick, but you got Seattle, and I think people say Philadelphia, Dallas, Green Bay. Actually, Green Bay's probably up there. Green Bay, Seattle, the top two teams. But do you guys see it any different, really? I think that's how it really shapes down. You can cut the field for the Super Bowl prop to about 10 teams or less.
Well, you didn't mention San Diego or Kansas City. I'm not a big advocate of Kansas City, and San Diego have just been such dogs. Over the last couple of years. But don't you just think that at some point they're going to play to their potential and they're going to be a factor?
I do. Yeah, I would disagree with the Chiefs pick. I mean, I definitely understand why, but I personally like the Chargers more. I like the fact that Rivers is in a final year of his contract. He's going to play out of his mind. I think the defense has gotten better over the last couple of years, to be honest, and I think there's a lot of questionable coaches in the NFL right now. And I like Mike McCoy. This is a team that battles each and every week. If they don't dig themselves a ditch to start the season, like they did 2 years ago, if they start well, if they can, hold it together, I think this is a team that potentially could not only win the AFC West, but push for the AFC overall. It's a stretch to say that right now, but I don't think they're that many pieces away. Look at who they lost to down the stretch. Patriots was a close game. Denver was a close game. At Kansas City, I don't think they were even trying. It's a team that's been in the playoffs, or no, they didn't make it last year because they faded, but they went to the playoffs 2 years ago. I kind of do like San Diego in there.
I do too. At 3-1, to win the West, I like that, and I do agree with you. I think they can absolutely be a factor in the AFC Conference Championship.
Rivers was hurt last year. They started 5-1. Rivers got hurt, played the rest of the season hurt. I think that was a big deal for them. He's pretty much their everything on offense. Stevie Johnson, a nice little sneaky pickup. I kind of like the Chargers, but I still think the Colts are going to have, with that schedule, Colts are going to have home field advantage. That's just how I see it. So anybody's going to have to go to Indy to win that conference. It's not the hardest place to play. It's not Lambeau Field in January, but I think, the Colts will be solid. They're going to have home field advantage. They're my pick in the AFC right now.
All right, and just to finish us off here, what do you guys think about who's going to be at the top of the NFC coming out here towards to the Super Bowl and the AFC? And who do you think, what division is going to be the hardest to cap here this season?
I think we talked about it. It's got to be the AFC North, in my opinion. That division is just so rough. But NFC-wise, I think it's between, you have Seattle, Green Bay, and Dallas. I think the only three teams legitimately have a shot to win the NFC this year. What do you guys think?
I like Arizona. I know. Listen, maybe I'm on an island myself there, but Bruce Arians gets the most out of his teams, and this is a team that was really good and really underrated. Until Carson Palmer got hurt, and who knows? Maybe they still get their hands on Adrian Peterson. This is a team that is very solid and continues to get underrated every single year. This defense will get back Darrell Washington, right? He was out for the year. Who else? Dockett, I think, signed somewhere else, but they'll get guys back. Well-coached team. They continue to get overlooked on week-to-week betting lines, on futures. I think that's one team that I would include there.
Yeah, here's my one concern with Arizona, though, is they were 4-4 on the road last season, and their schedule's saying that they're going to play these Seahawks on the road. They're playing the 49ers on the road. They're playing the Eagles on the road. They're playing the Chicago Bears week 2 on the road. Do you see any of those being an issue?
I do. I had them as a 3-5 team on the road this year, and that's kind of why I had them sitting at 8-8. But they can, if they flip the few and go on a run, if everybody stays healthy, yeah, they could slide right in.
Pete, would you want to throw in about Arizona?
Oh no, I was just going to say that I'm not sure what I think about them in terms of winning the conference, but they were the best team. They were clearly the most undervalued team in the NFL last year. They were 11-5 against spread, and I definitely agree with you that I would look for them to again be profitable this year. Maybe not necessarily 11-5 again, but that would be maybe my best bet of the sitting here right now is to make a call on Arizona to be a profitable bet again next year.
What about over 8? I'll just reiterate this again. New Orleans week 1 at home, at Chicago, home to San Francisco, home to St. Louis. And then if they're at Detroit after that, if they're 4-0 with momentum going to Detroit, they could be 5-0.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right, and I think that like I was saying before, the betting value with their season win total and with their likely ATS record game by game is highly related, highly correlated. I think you're right on both counts. Yeah.
All right, guys, then let's go ahead and move on here. I'm really excited to hear what you guys think about the schedule overall. What are the games that we want to see this season? Which are the ones that you guys are getting really pumped about? I'll tell you what I'm really excited about. In week 5, I believe it is, yes, Brady and Romo are facing off for the first time in 4 years. So that's going to be a really interesting game, I think. What do you guys think about that game? Is it a fair matchup, or do you think it's pretty much a Pats win?
I had that one written down as one of my games to watch as well. I think the Patriots will be favored in that one, probably no more by 3.5 points. But yeah, Tony Romo.
Tony Romo.
So Tony Romo.
Tony Romo.
We lost you, Jordan.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You ended with Tony Romo.
Tony Romo, yes, is a good quarterback. Yes, no. What I was saying is, I think the Patriots are going to be favored in that game, probably no more by 3.5 points. But I mean, that's going to be one of the better games. It's one of the ones I had written down as one of my games to watch this year. And you know, we'll get into the Cowboys. I'll get into the Cowboys a little bit more in my bold predictions. But I mean, the Cowboys have the ability, I think, if they play as good as they're capable of playing, to go as far as anybody in the NFC right now, and I think they could easily upset the Patriots on the road here if they.
Come on, Jordan.
Maybe they're a little Super Bowl hangover, but am I dropping out again, guys? I'm sorry.
You are dropping out.
How about this?
You drop out at like the most, like at the crux of your argument. You're like,
You see it
on the road if.
Oh. I think the Patriots could lose to the Cowboys in Week 5. I don't think they'll be that big of a favorite, but it's possible if the Cowboys play up to par.
Mm-hmm.
I think Seattle at Dallas, Week 8. Those 3 teams, or Dallas and Seattle, one of those 3 teams at the top of the NFC. That could have some big seeding implications for playoffs. It might not matter for their divisions, but head-to-head at the end of the year, I think that's a game to watch.
And another one that week, Monday Night Football. We've got Ben Roethlisberger and Phillip Rivers facing off here too. That's going to be really exciting.
I think my most interesting game to watch, at least right now, is the Indianapolis Colts and New England Patriots playing with fully inflated footballs in Week 6. That'll be an interesting game right there.
How can you have fully inflated footballs, Dave?
Well, opposed to deflated footballs, how they played in the second half. Was it first half or second half? Whatever it was in the playoff game. So I think that'll be a big game, and that's at Indy. That's one of those heat checks, right? If Indy's going to be this AFC contender, they have to win games like that.
All right, what else, guys? What do you think? Also, I think it's really interesting that the NFL's been trying to make Thanksgiving a much bigger deal, which, as you guys already know, that's usually a really, really big weekend for college football. So why do you guys think the NFL's doing this? They did it last year, and now they're doing it again. They've got what? They've got the Bears facing off with the Pack. Green Bay Packers.
Mm-hmm.
They're stealing all the football showdowns, all the football television time, everything. What do you guys think? Do you think that'll be a good game to watch? Will people be watching?
But I mean, doesn't the NFL rule Thanksgiving every year? I mean, they always have 3 games, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
No one really watches, though. At least in my experience.
NFL, everybody watches.
Everybody's watching their rivalry showdowns. Am I the only one who gets really excited about rivalry showdown weekend?
College is a big day. It is a big day for college football that day. There's usually some Texas teams playing, but NFL definitely trying to steal the thunder. It used to be, has it always been 3 games? Yeah, it has always been 3 games, right? Or was it 2 when they added a 3rd recently?
Mm-hmm. I'm not sure, but I know that they're definitely trying a lot harder to make it a big deal. I mean, they're also retiring Brett Favre's jersey that week, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm trying to pull up. Which week is that? Is that week 14?
I think it is. Let's look and see.
Yeah, as a Bears fan, not too confident about that game though. that one could be rough with the emotion of Brett Favre being in the building and his number being retired. The Packers could just, I mean, that game could be over by the halftime.
Yeah, do you guys think that's a pretty easy win for the Pack?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the Bears have regressed so much this offseason. I can't see them even staying relatively close to the Packers.
Well, do you see the odds being a little bit shorter there, though? If it's supposed to be a really good game, maybe the lines will come out. Spread might be a good pick that game. What do you guys think?
That's a possibility. Go ahead. I was just going to say real quick, that's a possibility just because you never know what John Fox is going to do with these Bears, but right now, obviously, everyone's expecting the Bears to be crap and the Pack to roll, so maybe the line is a bit inflated.
Yeah, the only thing I see they're helping Chicago is that Green Bay's coming off a game against Denver that they're going to be pretty hyped up to play.
That's a good point.
Yeah. But, I mean, for the Bears, though, you know, the biggest offseason acquisition they made was John Fox. That doesn't bode well for their chances.
No, definitely not. A Bears on the road anywhere is always dicey. At Lambeau it's actually week 12. It'll be somewhat chilly. I have little faith there.
All right, yeah. Any other games that are popping out at you guys? What do you think?
I mean, we already talked about it, but Packers-Seahawks week 2 is going to be a hell of a game.
Absolutely. How do you guys think that's going to go down?
I think the snap judge reaction is revenge, right? I think everyone's going to think revenge. But sometimes in these games, revenge is not as big of a factor. Like, it's more of a story going into the game than it is once kickoff happens. I think these two teams, I think Seattle's a different team this year. I'm interested to see how Jimmy Graham, him alone, changes the entire dynamic of this game. I think it's probably going to be a close game. I'd be interested to see what the spread is, though. I think Green Bay wins that game. What do you guys estimate the line at there?
Do you think that they'll open as the dog or as the favorite in that game, Dave?
Well, Green Bay at home, they got to be a favorite at home. Seattle so-so on the road. What do you guys think? Probably Green Bay 1 to 2 points.
I would say 2, probably. Wasn't it 2 points in the championship game last year? I believe it was 2 points.
Yeah, so that would mean, so 3 points. Oh, yeah, about 1 or 2 for...
Yeah.
Pete, what do you like in that game? Come on, stop playing Candy Crush, Pete. We need your...
In Green Bay,
I like Green Bay in it.
In Green Bay and Seattle, there's so much that could happen during the offseason. We'll have to see how things go in week 1. It's really hard for me to... I don't really have an opinion on that. I'll definitely have an opinion the Monday after week 1, though. That's for damn sure. But as of right now, it'll be a good game.
Yeah, it's tough.
Pete's got a reputation to uphold.
No, I just really don't. There's so many. I mean, you can certainly. It's fun to think about what the lines will be and where value might be, but it's just there's so much stuff that happens between now and then. It's just. I just don't really have much of an opinion yet. I really wait until I have a big opinion on, what's going to happen tomorrow in baseball. You know what I mean? But for that one, I don't really make my decisions until like Monday, Tuesday, the week before.
Yeah, Loshak, that game isn't nearly as interesting as that porn you're watching. Yeah,
that's true. Also, if I'm watching porn, I just don't handicap that well.
You get distracted.
All right, guys. Well, then let's finish off and talk about some bold predictions you guys might have for this entire schedule. Overall, we can talk about who's going to take the NFC, who's going to take the AFC, who's going to be the underdog to make it to the playoffs. Anything you guys got. I want to hear some bold predictions from the best handicappers at SBR.
I'm blushing. Let me be.
Well, we can't see that.
All right, I'll give two quick predictions. Like I said before, I'll reiterate. I think Arizona. Good bet against the spread, maybe just 9-7, but maybe more in line with last year. And I would also say that I like to look at the periphery when I'm looking at futures odds a lot of times. I think that Oakland under 4.5 plus money, that's value right there, I think.
All right, what else you guys got?
I think you guys are hard on Oakland. Whoever went through their schedule made some good points, but just in general, I think Oakland is on the rise. Again, not like huge on the rise, but I think the trajectory has changed. The team's bottomed out. They won 3 games last year, came close in a couple others. I know the schedule's tough, but Jack Del Rio, he's a solid coach. He's not going to take you to the Super Bowl, but he can take you from the basement to the main floor. And I think 4.5 is low on this team. If you don't like Denver, some of those wins have to go elsewhere. Nobody's too high on San Diego or Kansas City either. There's like mixed opinions. I think Oakland could poach 5 wins. No? Am I the only one?
I don't know. A team on the rise doesn't add Trent Richardson and thinks everything's going to be better.
Trent Richardson for nothing. I mean, they're not paying him a whole lot. Listen, I'm not selling you on Oakland going to the Super Bowl here, but 5 wins is not a lot. They had 3 wins last year. Do you think they're better than they were last year?
Maybe. Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
I just see them getting swept by their division.
Okay.
I try not to think about Oakland, but what I do think about is the NFC South. Megan, I think the South is rising, baby. I'm telling you what.
Yeah, buddy. That's what I like to hear.
Absolutely. It is not going to be the shameful division that it was last year. Nolans, that how you say Italian? Nolans and Atlanta, I think look good. I think Tampa Bay is going to be horrifying once again. Carolina, a little something there. I think the South looks good. I think you may surprise there. Green Bay is my pick to come out of the NFC and to play the New England Patriots once again in the Super Bowl, and we'll see where it goes from there. But those are my Super Bowl finalists.
All right, who else? Who's got Super Bowl finalists? Anyone agreeing with Swingin' Johnson? I know it's hard to agree with him, but he makes a good point.
I mean, the Swinger's like the biggest Boston homer of all time, so it doesn't surprise me that he has.
All we do is win, you bastard. We're wicked pissing. Don't forget it.
Wicked awesome. All right, well, I agree with him that the Patriots are going to get back to the Super Bowl. We all seem pretty high on when it comes down to it in a Brady versus Luck battle, I'll still take the Patriots, and that even I think if the Colts have home field. I'm going to go back to something that Dave's pointed out, and even though I don't think they can win the NFC, one of my bold predictions is that the Arizona Cardinals are going to win the NFC West. I could very easily see the Cardinals get to 10 or 11 wins. If Seattle falters just a little bit, if they don't have Marshawn Lynch, or if something crazy happens to this team, Arizona could very well come in and win this division. I don't know if they're Super Bowl material just yet to get out of the NFC. You have teams like the Cowboys and the Packers in there as well. But so I guess my bold predictions: Cardinals win the NFC West, Patriots get back to the Super Bowl. I'm gonna go with get to the NFC title game. What do you think? Not win the NFC though, but get to the NFC title game.
No, Jordan, I was just laughing because, like Dave said, right at that critical point, you just go right out. It's like the Google Hangout is teasing you, or your audio is.
Who's the team? You cut out right as you're about to say the team to go to the NFC.
The Cardinals, right?
I think. Okay, bold predictions. Run fast, real quick. Cardinals win the NFC West. The Dallas Cowboys get to the NFC title game, and the Patriots get back to the Super Bowl. Dallas Cowboys will not win it though. I think they'll get to it though.
Okay, so Cowboys was your prediction to go. That was the bold to go to the title game.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, I would agree with most of that. I do think Seattle takes a small step back. They'll be in the playoffs. I do like Arizona. I think they start hot. They're going to be a good bet. People are just, I don't know, perennially down on this team, probably because nobody watches them play. I think the Eagles are dead last in the NFC East, even below Washington. I think San Francisco and Philadelphia are my two biggest fade teams heading into the year. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars are a decent team. They push for maybe 6 wins or so, maybe 7, 8 wins if everything goes perfect for them. Other than that, I think my other bold prediction is the Colts going to the Super Bowl.
Ooh, you know what I want to talk about? How do you guys think the rookie quarterbacks are going to do this season? Do you think that Winston or Mariota, which one will do better? Do you guys have a prediction?
Well, it depends. I mean, if you put Jameis Winston anywhere near crab legs, I think he's in trouble. But Marcus Mariota, I don't know. I don't think either of these guys. I just don't like the setup. I think, I guess in fairness, Tampa Bay is a decent setup. Decent running game, I guess. Okay offensive line, good coach, good receivers. I mean, you're going to put somebody in Tennessee. I think that's trouble. If any of these fringe teams trade for a quarterback, if Philadelphia does, I think that's better for Mariota. But Cleveland, Cleveland's a death trap for anybody. See Johnny Manziel. But I think I'm not so high on these prospects themselves. I don't know about you guys, but I don't think this is like a great class for quarterbacks. I don't think these guys come in and change a franchise either this year or in the future years.
We become so obsessed with rookie quarterbacks after RG3 and Andrew Luck that we just assume that these highly touted rookie quarterbacks are going to have success when that completely goes against all the trends that have ever been established in the NFL since basically the dawn of time. I don't think Mariota or Winston are going to have a whole lot of early success. They will become established starting long-term NFL quarterbacks. But yeah, completely agree with Dave. The fact that these two guys are being as highly touted as they are is fine, but we continue to overvalue rookie quarterbacks because of what RG3 and Andrew Luck did. You can't look at these guys like they're going to pull off something like that. I think that's completely out of the question.
completely agree. I think in the back of everybody's mind is the real argument is, oh, will Mariota even be a serviceable starter, period, not a star? So to think that he's going to go to a franchise and turn him around the first year is kind of ludicrous.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys, any other points then? Before we wrap it up here, any more predictions we should get from you guys? Early predictions.
I think KC can run the table at home this year.
All
Win
right.
maybe two games on the road, and I think Denver's going to miss the playoffs, and Peyton's going to go off in sunset, and hopefully not, have his head fall off his surgically repaired neck. that's it. I think AFC West it's really up for grabs. I do like, if it's not KC, then it is going to be San Diego. So I think those two teams, division odds value, that's what the value is there on the division odds.
All right, guys, there you have it. We have just discussed our first look here at the NFL schedule for 2015-2016 season. Keep it locked with us at SBR Sports Picks, sbrpicks.com. You can find us on Twitter as well at SBR Sports Pick. Find us on Facebook at Sportsbook Review. Keep it locked with us. We're going to be talking NFL draft here in just a few weeks. And that's it. All right, guys. Talk to you later. We'll see you soon.
All right, see you guys.
See ya.